Welcome to SikhCast, brought to you by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.
In this episode of the SikhCast, we share a recording from a live discussion held on April 5th, 2026, in Vancouver, British Columbia, featuring Harinder Singh in conversation with Dr. Shimi Kaur Kang. The dialogue, titled Wisdom for the Uncertain Times, invites listeners to reflect on the life, vision, and enduring wisdom of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. Good afternoon, Sat Sri Akal, and Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. It's truly a joy to welcome you all here today. I'm especially glad that this conversation is taking place in Vancouver, a city known for its thoughtfulness, curiosity, and depth. We are gathered this afternoon in reverence and reflection, marking 350 years since the Gurgadi, the coronation of Guru Gobind Singh. A moment that reshaped Sikh thought, identity, and the collective responsibility. In a time marked by rapid change and moral uncertainty, the Guru's vision of courage, justice, and sovereign responsibility, invites deeper reflections. This gathering brings seekers, thinkers, and readers together to consider how the Guru's spirit calls us to stand for the universal justice and human dignity. Together, we reflect on what it means to remain grounded in conviction while committed to the well-being of all. Thank you for joining us for this special event, Guru Gobind Singh, Life, Vision, and Wisdom, featuring author and educator Harinder Singh. This afternoon is not only about history, it is an invitation to engage with the living wisdom that continues to speak to the courage, justice, creativity, and sovereignty of spirit. Just a quick note on how our time together will unfold. We'll begin with a conversation with the author, followed by an audience Q&A. This is a rare opportunity to engage with two deeply thoughtful voices, so please feel free to listen closely, reflect, and hold your questions for discussion. We hope this space feels both intimate and illuminating. Let me begin by introducing Harinder Singh, someone I've had the privilege of learning from and working alongside through SikhRI over many years. Whenever a significant moment arises related to Sikhs or Punjab, Harinder Singh is among the voices people turn to, through interviews, public conversations, and invitations to offer clarity and perspective. His words have reached audiences around the world, yet they often carry a rare sense of intimacy, as though they're spoken directly to you. Harinder Singh is a co-founder of the Sikh Research Institute and the Punjab Digital Library, two institutions that have helped reshape how Sikh history, language, and thought are studied and shared globally. For more than 2 decades, he has traveled across continents, speaking with communities, universities, policymakers, and young people, helping new generations engage with SikhRI not only as tradition, but as a living, thinking way of life. Vancouver is a place where many of you already know him well. Through community conversations, university talks, Sikh gatherings, and even radio interviews when Sikh perspectives are needed. He is also the author of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, Life, Vision, and Wisdom, the book that brings us together this afternoon. Whether addressing large audiences or sitting quietly in conversation with Sangat, Harinder brings a rare blend of scholarship, storytelling, and a deep love for what he often describes as the one force, the oneness that radiates through us all. Joining Harinder Singh in conversation today is Dr. Shimi Kang. Dr. Kang is a #1 best-selling author, award-winning psychiatrist, research, media expert, and speaker, recognized globally for her work on mental health, resilience, and the impact of technology on the human mind. She has become an important voice in conversations about how we help young people thrive in an increasingly complex world. Through her books, research, and public work, Dr. Kang has helped thousands of families, educators, and young people better understand how to nurture balance, resilience, and healthy relationships with technology. At the heart of her work is a deep commitment to supporting youth and helping them grow into thoughtful, capable, and compassionate individuals. It is truly a gift to hear these two voices in conversation. One shaped by decades of inquiry and teaching, and the other by careful observation and storytelling. Please join me in warmly welcoming Harinder Singh and Dr. Shimi Kang.
Thank you so much for that very gracious introduction. Hello, friends, neighbors, readers, seekers, thinkers. Before we begin, I would like us to join together in a moment of stillness to really take in why we are here today, the celebration of the 350th anniversary of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's Gurgaddi. And we will celebrate not only his work, his leadership, his art, his military genius. We will celebrate him as Guru, the one who transforms, the one who gives us a call to action. So I just want to start that moment with an image here from the section of the book called The Divine Emancipator. And I spoke with Ini Kaur, the editor of the book, and she told me to draw attention to the very subtle white mist here where my finger is. And it, like the Guru, like our journeys of self-discovery, you have to look with intention, you have to pause, we have to slow down, otherwise we will miss it entirely. So here we are in Sangat, and I ask you to slow down. Take pause, reflection, a deep breath, root your feet on the ground, and enjoy this exploration, we hope, of self-discovery, and reflect. So with that, our moment of stillness, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. And that brings us to our first question. I will ask you, Harinder Singh, this question, but really it's to the audience. What I'm hoping is for us to reflect on what brought us here today. What made us leave our busy lives and come here to this Sangat? And it's only fair if I answer it first. So I am here to further my journey as a seeker. I was born Gurmeet Kaur Kang, and I never really understood the meaning of having this gift of Guru Gobind Singh, the core, this sovereignty, this power in me, until my life became very unmanageable. About 15 years ago with a severe illness. And it wasn't until I was at that place of pain, suffering, and surrender did I feel the Guru's presence, the core in me, truly beyond an intellectual understanding, but in the marrow of my being. And it took that. So I hope we can not have to go there. I'm here to further that evolution, to listen and maybe go deeper and see what else is in me as a core, as the gift the Guru gave me. So Harinder Singh, tell us, how did you come to this place? Why are you here? And what transformation have you experienced in this project?
Well, first of all, that's news to me. And your, I guess, vulnerability in sharing Gurmeet to Shimi and now discovering Kaur in this journey. That's That's most of us. We need to discover our given identities and what is my identity. So thank you for sharing that. The reason I'm here is because people want to have conversation on Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And it happened because what ended up becoming a book project, which initially wasn't a book project. But I want to go to the impetus of that. A few years ago, when it was a Prakash Parab or a birth anniversary of Guru Gobind Singh, I started thinking that anniversaries are coming and going. The very first time we started really celebrating anniversaries was Guru Nanak's in 1969. And what really came out of that, and what has been coming out of anniversaries in the last 30 years in my young adult life. So I was looking at what politicians are doing, what the GPCs, you can add your Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee on it, what they are up to, what scholars are up to. And I realized we actually don't know Guru Gobind Singh. We have an icon of the Guru. We have maybe 2-3 stereotypical images of the Guru, but the thought of the Guru is not known. So that's where I started that for myself. Can I learn that from the people who saw him? And if they saw him, how they recorded what they witnessed? So that's how it started. It started as a self-discovery to then working with an artist, Kiran. During COVID, actually, I remember calling her in the first week of January. I'm like, Kiran, what are you doing for the next couple of weeks? She's like, well, it's COVID. I said, do you want to do a workshop? She's like, sure, I can work with you, Virji. She's a young, a woman who was doing masters, but who was also an artist. And I had met her because she came to SikhRI. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, so what are you doing this weekend? She's like, I'm home. I got on a flight 2 days later to San Francisco. Downtown was closed, as you guys know. Her dad had an office there. So we spent 2 days there talking about 10 Shabads of Guru Gobind Singh. It was not a book project. It was a project to see how can we depict that, the beauty, the art, beyond thought, and which can transcend the boundaries of cultures and languages. So this was the impetus. The idea was, can we learn about the Guru beyond the fixated image?
Thank you. Thank you. And if many of you grew up the way I did, I remember those images. There was the artist Soba Singh, and we had 2 in our home, Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And and I heard your other podcast where, for me, and I think for many people, Guru Gobind Singh was my first superhero, right? He defended the weak and the poor and sought for justice. And that's how I understood Guru Gobind Singh. And so this is so welcome to understand the deep breadth and his Shabads. So I'm going to start my next question with reading a line, the very first line of the book. You had quoted Nand Singh Goyal. Sorry, not Singh. I said Nand Lal Goyal. And the quote here is, "The East and West are illuminated with his light." And you say that this verse really captures the literary, historical, visual, and musical renderings of Guru Gobind Singh's 10 hymns. And here we are in a time of East and West conflict, war, saturation of distraction from our purpose, our missions, our well-being. Tell us how you came to pick this verse, and how can the Guruji's wisdom help us in this contemporary moment in time with what we might be facing in our daily lives?
Oh, wow. That's a very loaded question. Thank you for asking. I really, really do appreciate this question. It is not just any trivial thing. So one reason, among others, was Bhai Nandlal Goya was a scholar, a poet who served in the Mughal court, who understood the east and west of what was central India. So the east-west is relative, right? Because we are used to this, that we know Earth is round, but we are used to these maps. So he actually was doing that. And then he's presenting the Guru. So he's very well trained as a scholar, as a poet, as an interpreter. And when he's using this phrase, even in today's conversation, I remember, and some of you will remember, in mid-90s, there was a whole Samuel Huntington thesis about clash of civilizations.
Yeah.
So it is a clash going on even at that time. Clash is always on, but the question is, what are you going to do in that clash? And how do you address it? So he says Guru Gobind Singh addressed it. Because for Guru Gobind Singh, it wasn't about, just like Guru Nanak, it wasn't about the Eastern was or Western was the Indic and the Semitic civilization. That's the Samuel Huntington thing 300 years later. It's the same Semitic versus non-Semitic. And Guru Gobind Singh, in a very amazing and beautiful way, brought them together. So this is why I chose that. So it wasn't just imagination of somebody, it's somebody who's a court poet also. Now applying this today is Easter Sunday. And when I look at the last 2 days when the Passover started, it really used to be about redemption stories. So I saw what the spiritual guide of Trump said, the woman who's guiding him spiritually actually. But I also saw what Pope said, who said that, basically I'm paraphrasing, that what is happening through this administration is not Christianity. Now, at the same time, I'm also seeing that for the first time on Friday in Jerusalem, the Jews or the Christians weren't allowed to pray in that particular temple. And in that temple, media didn't report this, but because they fight with each other so much, it's the two Muslims who get to keep the key for that. If I can bring that, what Guru Gobind Singh is doing is very similar. So here is the guidance. It's not about Muslims and Hindus at that time, but there are people who have self-identities of religiosities. But there is an administrative class, which included the hill chief rajas at the time. Bait Ardhe Raje Punjabi ch kehne in the all the way from Himalayas to borders of Delhi. And then you have an emperor who is a Mughal emperor, but he's of Islamic persuasion. So there is a clash there. There's a serious clash, but it's politically who is aligning with who, which is what we are seeing today. So there is a garb of religiosity. There is skewing and manipulation of religiosity for political purposes, just like today it was happening back then. And what Guru Gobind Singh offers to both equally and to people at large is to eliminate the pretense, to go inner and then train people. If they are not reflecting enough and still doing the right thing, then he trained for 24 years how to deal with them. As a poet, as a writer, as a scribe, as a warrior, as a diplomat, all of that, while you're celebrating. So Guru Gobind Singh's message is very similar for today. This is why it's so relevant, because we are seeing all those manipulations again. It is how he communicates with power, how he deals with people who have fleeting allegiances, which is commonly happening all the time during election time as well. And he's also showing us that to everyday people that you got to be self-sovereign if you want to protect the sovereignty of the people.
Absolutely. Thank you. When I had my journey through this book, which was very generously gifted to me by our generous host, Dr. Harinder Singh Bugra and Dr. Satsangat Kaur Singh, it was my 53rd birthday and a few days after a major surgery that I had. So it was this pivotal moment of vulnerability, and I've had several weeks with these pages as my home, I would say. And one thing I discovered is this book isn't just written, it is created. And it is created in my world, I would say, as almost a prescription, the way it is written out. And I'm just going to explain that to the audience. each chapter starts with a question, always. And then we see the Shabad by the Guruji in calligraphy inspired by his writing, I believe. And then we see a transcription in both Punjabi and English, and then a translation in English. And then what I really appreciate is the commentary by yourself, which really explains this in modern times, in practical terms. And then the transformative part for me was then it's followed by beautiful art that allows the reader now to come to their own conclusion. So this isn't, to me, I think of how-to manuals. This is beyond that. This is a how to become a better person through the process of spending time. And I just want to recognize that and be grateful to you and Inikor and Kiran and all of the people who have been part of this. But tell me about that process. And was that intentional, or did you innovate something completely new that's never been done before? I think you did.
It's integration of all of the above. I also want to mention Albail Singh, the calligrapher.
Right.
Praveen Kumar, who's a graphic designer. Harinder Singh, who is a scholar who I had to, when you're translating, you have to first come up with what is the right text, because there are so many variations. So it's really, initially when it wasn't a book project, it was just a Shabad and the art. It was just two of us. When it became book project, then we had to bring other elements. Look, there was one challenge. Very first day when I met Kiran, and I can start there. There's a lot of intentionality, yes. So thank you for capturing that. Prescriptiveness, no, but I understand where you took it, huh?
Right.
Because the Guru's approach is, Guru takes you on a journey, it's still your decision.
Right.
So being and becoming is a process. And to Kiran, I only had one challenge. I said, no form. Because in Guru Granth Sahib, the idea of the Guru or the wisdom is, there is no fixation on the form. We can't go back to Shobha Singh. It never was that, and it can't be that. So that's where the work came. So yes, the beauty element was big, because we have lost our calligraphies. Look, first attraction is beauty. We know this as human beings. Something which looks pleasing, something which looks inviting. That's how nature is also. That's how we are as human beings. And you know that better than I from psychology and psychiatry, right? So yes, beauty was intentional. We are losing that. And look, number one thing for me was, if I'm going to talk about the Guru, and I'm not into writing too many books, and this is after a long time, Guru is a royal, but much more than that. How do you approach somebody who is Shah-e Shahan Shah? That's the phrase. I don't know how to approach that. I don't even know how to approach just a Shah. And then how do you approach somebody who is Bardo Alam Shah? The one who is operating in two domains. Classically, it is religious and political. Interpretively, it means in this world and the world beyond, the one we don't understand or can't even perceive. So for me, it was about anything and everything of the Guru has to be done and presented in a manner where we appreciate the Guru and not, yes, team, myself, yes, there are efforts, but really it's about the Guru.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So within there, when the commentary is the only part where I brought in my thoughts, to be honest, even the translation is very tight, that's why. Because commentary was not about what we need to do. And you captured that. Thank you for noticing that. It is what Guru Gobind Singh is saying to me. Because I had a superhero thing with Guru Gobind Singh growing up in Jhansi, UP for the first 12 years of my life. And then at some point, he became institutional Guru for me because Sikhs say he's a Guru. But, that lasted about another few years. And then it became, at some point, I adopted him as my Guru. Conscious choice. That's when my really journey began. And then 10 plus years ago, it became, now how do I tell the world about this? This is why I had to be even more selective what is inputted there. So commentary is what the Guru is telling me. Rest of it is really those who saw the Guru, those who witnessed the Guru, basically those who loved the Guru, if I can just come back to it. It's Guru Gobind Singh who said, it's only love which brings you closer to divine. And so it's the lovers. Even the book, that's why I dedicated to the lovers of Guru Gobind Singh. I mean, look, if it's a love affair, you ask a lover. You don't ask somebody who's just observing. So this is where the work was really about. Last week, I was having conversation with somebody. It was, first I thought it was cheesy, but I just want to share that. Dr. Shimi Kaur Kang in Ocala, Florida. And this is what she said to me on the phone before I met her, and then I saw her a day later. She says to me, this was a Valentine's Day gift card. She's like, the thought is there, the love is there, the way it's been presented. I haven't heard that. I understand it, and I think that's how some people are also receiving it.
Very nice.
Because it is really eventually about, I'm not interested in giving perspectives on Guru Gobind Singh here. I'm interested in only how a lover sees Guru Gobind Singh and the thought of Guru Gobind Singh.
You can certainly see the love, feel the love in the layout, the art, the imagery, the musicality, and the calligraphy. I just want to point out there's actually Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's signature, digital rendition, right? A digital copy of the signature in the first few pages. And I know that's why you won't sign the book. I've already had some people ask, and I said Harinder Singh won't do that. Tell us, on this topic of art and creativity, tell us how we can use Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's art and creativity, his use of that, his use of poetry, the wisdom, the power of art and creativity in our modern times. How can we use it to navigate some of these situations that we find ourselves in?
Let's pick something celebratory, and within even celebration, how it comes together. Something we're very used to. It just passed, the Indic festival of Holi. And Guru Gobind Singh, and by the way, all gurus did this, they never denounced anything in culture. They elevated it. This is something I have learned with the gurus. They looked at all cultural festivities and they said, now how do we elevate people to more thoughtful and more conscious living? So Guru Gobind Singh is dealing with Holi. There are different versions. You can look at it or understand it by Googling it. But when it comes to him, it becomes Hola Mohalla. It's still a celebration. There is still a color. But within the color is justice. How do you prepare? And color literally, and this morning there was a WhatsApp group message going on. Harinder is colorblind. What color are we wearing? I'm like, But the thing is, I was playing with that. The word rang. It comes in Guru Granth Sahib. It comes in secondary text, Guru Gobind Singh's writing. Rang literally means color, but figuratively it means love. So how do you take the colors, even in the festival of colors, and take it towards if you are deeply in love? And when you are deeply in love, how it is not enough to be just about yourself, but of the communities you live in. So this is why the warrior tradition. So the warrior who's drenched in love, that is the warrior in Gurbani. So he takes us into this journey of, even when you are celebrating, it is so intentional. We are having fun. If I may quote here, I'm just remembering this. There's Bhai Nandlal Goya has written this. He says, when Guru Gobind Singh threw Gulal, Gulal is one of the colors in Indic traditions of Holi. Generally, they put color on you, right? He says when he threw Gulal, everything between the earth and sky turned deep red. So that's the presence of the Guru. We are not any color, anti-color or whatever this stuff is, which we deal with today, which I'm bringing it up because today in Sikh world, this is also one of the nonsenses gets discussed. Sorry to use that word. But those people who were in color, which means they were in love, they were preparing to be a great writer, a great poet, a great warrior. So this is what's needed today. Those in love, when they write, is different. Those in love, when they draw, is different. Those in love, when they're fighting for justice and demanding accountability, is very different. When people like me are doing, who have not tasted love yet, maybe I had glimpse of it, my language will be different, my approach will be different. This is why Guru Gobind Singh's warriors were different than other warriors. His poets are different than other poets. And I'll just mention one line from Guru Granth Sahib. This is why Guru Gobind Singh is a continuity of Guru Granth Sahib.
Yes.
In Guru Granth Sahib it says, Jako har rang lago is jug mein, so kahiyat hai sura. The one who is drenched in the love of Hari, the all-pervasive one, that one is to be considered the real warrior. So this is the difference between a warrior and a fighter. Today, we have selectivist and internet warriors. The term gets used a lot today, but I'm just invoking it because, in fact, this contrast is, if you ask me, there's a huge difference between fighter and a warrior. Fighter is trigger happy, and you're seeing this globally. Warriors can really kick ass, but his whole training is not to fire until as a last resort. So that requires incredible discipline, incredible patience, a lot of elements of practical love. And then, because this is what Guru Gobind Singh wrote then in Zafarnama, it's a last resort to pick up a sword. So we are very capable. You know, you can try, we're going to try everything. Actually, this phrase is we need to exhaust all other means. So Guru practically does it and shows it and trains people. So our Ragi, our calligrapher, our scholar, our interpreter, they all were great fighters too, because they were love-born.
And I would say so was the arts, the martial arts. There
Exactly.
we have creativity and, you know, sometimes when I think of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, I think of the ultimate Renaissance embodiment, someone who can transcend art and war into one, and wrap that all up, you know, with Ekam God. So we're going to go through a rapid fire of the table of contents in a moment. But before we do that, I want to just talk about one chapter that really stuck out for me, and it's titled Friend, right? Beloved Friend, is that right? And, you know, when we think of the Guru, sometimes we think of it as something out there, not right next to us, breathing alongside with us. And in this world of so much disconnection, loneliness, right? Stress is our number one health epidemic. Loneliness is the next one. You know, how can we use the Guru more as a friend? And the Shabad there was a very meaningful Shabad to me, because it is Mitran Pyare Nu Hal Muridan Da Kehna. And if you could discuss that, because the Guru used this word, Mitar, to address God, the Almighty, and had this beautiful flow. And so how can we bring that friendship, that companionship to guide us?
That's the only Shabad of the 10 Shabad selection which is not in Rag. So I'm going to start there, because Rag is color, Rang, and all the Rags on those other 9 Shabads are Rags in Guru Granth Sahib too. So those of you who want to know how this is a continuity. So that one is titled Khyal Patshahi Dasvi. Khyal is a later day poetical musical genre, which is now most people are used to Qawwalis.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because that school of thought is also being born at the similar times. Amir Khusro is usually credited with it, but Guru Gobind Singh is utilizing that. And Khayal literally means a perspective. Everything else was not a perspective. Here's a perspective now. So it's interesting you picked that up, but I actually am not surprised. The reason is, if there's a collective memory of not just Sikhs or Punjabis, if I may invoke South Asians at large, this is the one line they all know. Even Bollywood has sung it so many times, singers from there. So ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ. But interestingly, what happened to me before I go, what it's saying for connection, how can we develop? When I really research this word, because a lot of things are controversial and all things are there. So I'm looking at the text, I'm looking at the context, I'm looking at the history of it. This was one of the biggest surprises for me. I knew the emotions of it. I didn't know the context of it. This Shabad is sang. First of all, he's saying, Mittar pyare no. So the word Mittar is friend and pyara is beloved, loved one, referring to the divine. Hal muridan da kehna. Not mera hal, not my condition, not my family's condition. Because this is right after the separation of the family, where he doesn't know where her sons are, where he doesn't know where his mom is, where he doesn't know where rest of the Sikhs are, where he doesn't know all our literary things are, where he doesn't know all our financial assets are. That's the level. You talk about stress? Look at this stress at our level. Like, बच्चे ਨੂੰ थोड़ी सट लग जावे, साड़ा बुरा हाल हो जाता. In that context, he says, the condition of my disciples. 1705, when he is by himself, when he knows there is no news of what has happened to anyone in his family, even then, condition of my disciples. Mm-hmm. So the friend guru, I mean, as you know, any relationship which is positional, like guru is positional. Any relationship, husband, wife, partner, children, parent, they're all positional relationships. Any relationship that's transcended to a level of friend is incredibly powerful. Right? We don't do anything for position. I mean, when we are born, you're already a child or eventually maybe a sibling. So they're positions. Yeah. But the most powerful thing in Guru Granth Sahib, in the Banis of Guru Gobind Singh, and this is why he's invoking, he's inviting us that this divine entity is not upstairs or downstairs or a man with a white beard sitting upstairs judging you, because that's the image, even Simpsons had that. It is the one who is with you, in you. Invoke the friendship with that creative force. And the reason I'm saying creative force now, the word Gobind is that. Even the name of Guru Gobind Singh, Go is earth. Bind literally is semen. Bind te jin pind kiya. You know how the life gets formed. Interpretively, it means the creative force of this earth. Look at what Guru Gobind Singh did.
That Shabad, when I watch the news and I'm feeling very stressed and sad and I don't know what to do, and I wish I had a friend to call and talk about, I play that Shabad, Mittaran Pyare Nu, Hal Muridan again, and I ask, and it helps me to deal with, let's say, the angst I might see with children, suffering, and I really encourage that to me is very helpful for these times that we're in, where we feel we must act or do something, but I have to get to work, or I have to drop my kids off, or I have to do these things. Well, we can listen to the Shabad and we can kind of re-energize. So.
If I may, 3-4 years ago, I connected with somebody in Old Delhi. I want us to know that this is not just about Sikhs also, because we have also knowingly or unknowingly created some exclusivity around these things. Because Guru is of everyone. Guru is approachable to everyone, available to everyone. I was in Old Delhi taking an Old Delhi tour. No, it was more than 5 years ago. It was pre-COVID. And I ended up with that tour in their Haveli. And they turned out to be some old musical Karana of Delhi. And I went in there, I don't know who he was, and he sees a Sardar guy. He's also giving samplings of his musical rendition, Khayal Gaiki included, and Bada Khayal. And all of a sudden he pulls out his handkerchief, puts his handkerchief on his head, and he sings this Shabad. His daughter was not a musician, now she left her world. She is the heir apparent. I met her other day for something. Last time I was in Delhi. She sang that Shabad. I have never heard. She was better than her dad, and her dad was Ustad. तो मैं कहा वसत ये कैसे किया? कहती पता नहीं, आपको इतना अच्छा लगा तो मुझे लगा मैं और क्या कर सकती हूँ गिफ्ट, so मैंने आपके लिए सुनाया है.
Yeah.
It was so. I had never heard that rendition. I was gone.
I would love
So that Shabad does that to so many people. Sikhs, non-Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, and yeah, because that's what Guru is.
Yeah.
It's that connection, it's that emotion, and it's what we call synergy now. You don't know what it's going to do to you, and entropy, which it can be 2x for somebody, it could be 100x for somebody. You just don't know what it's going to do.
And I think that's how it gets back to this question of art. Look at the power of the music, the words, the poetry. And Guru Gobind Singh wrote that, after such difficult times, alone in a forest. And that is the power of art. When you don't know what to do, then you can turn to this creative process, which I think is such an important message for our times. So maybe rapid fire. Are you okay with that through the table of contents? Where's Simran? How are we doing with time? Just so we know to time this. You can let us know. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So what I thought was a master stroke is each Shabad, each hymn is titled into 2 words of imperative action. And how you were able to take, the power of the Shabads and put them into 2 words. I'm now going to ask you, and we'll go through some of these, your best attempt to give us the perspective of the titles of the Shabads. So we have, actually chapter 1 or first is Renunciation Redefined.
So Indic tradition talks about what sannyas is. And Guru Gobind Singh redefines it. He's like, yeah, I'm also into renunciation, but of this kind. Because the yogic culture is very big on that. The Indic culture is very big on that. So he's disrupting it. And by the way, each of these words are in the Shabads themselves. I've just put a little action-orientedness in there, so it makes an impression. So that's how that came. It's redefined. He says, yeah, I'm also into renunciation, but let me share my renunciation. We call that disruption today. We call it redefining things.
The next one is Yoga Disrupted.
Yeah, the first 2 Shabads are in Ramkali Rag. Those of you know Ramkali's emotions and content, it largely deals with yogic traditions. Like Guru Nanak's Siddh Ghost is in Ramkali Rag. Anand Sahib, we are used to, you'll see the references to that. So Yoga Disrupted, he says, yeah, I also do yoga, but yogic people have particular things they use. And so Guru Nanak Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj in this case is looking at the paraphernalia of yogic cultures and subcultures. And he's saying, this is how I do my yoga, which essentially is, my yoga is about connecting with the one. Because literally yoga means connection.
And yoga is such a popular term and activity. So when you were working in that area, what were your reflections on what you see around us now?
There was part of me going through it, but when I was titling it, I made sure that I'm not editorializing it, because that's all in the commentary. Look, I did 3 years of intense yoga, if you really want to know what was going through me. And then I was in not this Vikram yoga sign business. I was into very serious yogic culture yoga. Most people don't realize that this is Yoga Sutras are a religious text. It is one of the ways of the 6 major schools, how do you connect with the divine? It is not just exercise. Exercise, you can call it whatever. So I'm looking at that. I'm also looking at how yogis of the past, Guru Nanak dealt with, Guru Gobind Singh is dealing with, and the current yogis, who half of them are rapists. The sexuality of that. in my own times. You know, it's crazy. Like people call themselves yogi. In Punjabi ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਜੋਗੀ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਜੁੜਨ ਲਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ whereas yogi became about these particular symbolisms and really putting the commoners down honestly and saying we are all that. So all that was going through my head. This was said this is yoga disrupted.
Right. Okay. Divine protector.
In the Shabad it talks about, you know, we seek somebody's protection. We have security agencies now, but earlier they used to exist too. They're just different versions and who can afford what type of protection. And what Guru Gobind Singh is saying, ultimate protector is the one, is the divine. So why would we go to semi-gods or demigods or the ones who become gods in their own lifetimes, like Modi's statue in India is a god and Trump's statue in India is a god. This is how gods got made, by the way. So he's saying, no, you don't need to go to semi, demi, or whatever else. You don't know their stories, but they are pretty funny stories. He's like, I go to the ultimate protector who's divine. Hal muridan da kehna, remember? Mittar pyare nu.
Number 7, Shabad, you titled Creator Death.
Yes, death is Keval ka lai kartar. That's the exact line in Rahao. Keval is only. Kal is death. Kartar is creator. That's how the title came, Creator Death. And the whole global cultures, religions, isms, tribal systems have different explanations of death. And we like to divide things. There's a messenger, there's an accountant, there's the one who punishes, whether you are at St. Peter or Taramraj, you figure out. It's a global thing. What he's saying is, it's only one. The one who creates is the one who also destroys in that sense. So ultimately, the way to deal with death is to deal with Creator.
And the one and one's identification, the numerical symbol of one is found in every single art piece throughout the publication. So tell us about that before, I think we'll head to our last question after. Yeah.
That's something, well, first the Shabad, because with Kiran, I was actually breaking down each word, each rag. For a colorblind guy, I was explaining the colors of the rags. So it was an interesting thing, right? So when I was breaking down that one's identification, because identification is, I'm using that English word for naam. 3 of these Shabads, 2 of them in Rahao invoke naam, which is the naam culture in Guru Granth Sahib. So he's like the only identity which is permanent. Otherwise we have identities. We talked about in position sense. We have different identities, but they're all temporary. Some of us develop certain religious identities, sexual identities, political identities, familial identities, depending on your circumstances and relationships. But they're all temporary. They all have a deadline. Generally, let's say statistically in US, they said 77 years now, which is what they're using for life insurances to see how long you're living. So what Guru Gobind Singh is saying is, Maharaj is saying, there's only one's identity which is permanent. While we identify, the person you identify with, you have a relationship with. Sometimes you don't identify with all the relatives and many who claim to be your friends. But the ones you identify with, you're developing a relationship and you're getting close. So what he's saying is, how about identification with the one? And as you develop that identification, that naam, you'll get closer to the one who is divine, who is death, who is creator. So the reason that Roman numeral of Gurmukhi script 1 showed up, ik, because in several Shabads the word ek is used. And when Kiran is drawing all these things, she wanted to have a theme. And eventually she chose this, we didn't tell her. I want to mention something interesting, after a couple of days of workshopping each Shabad, if I may call it, she's like, I think I can do this in 6 months. And by the way, we were publishing that the following year, 1 Shabad a month. She had art for 7 of them done, but the last 3 she couldn't do because it was so tough to globalize it and keep it within the thing. She chose this, the only running theme for her. And I told her, you can't write any Gurbani lines. No form of the Guru and no Gurbani lines. So that's why she chose to write the Ik numeral.
Okay. And my last question, I'm going to turn back to the audience, ask you, Harinder Singh, but it's really for each of you, now that we've had some time together, and hopefully there might be some gentle or striking self-discovery. The question is, what is your call to action? Today, is there something small you can do in your daily devotion, or something vast and daring? You know, because Guru Gobind Singh Sahib calls us to take action. And so, again, I'll share my own before we open the floor to question and answer. And as I said, okay, I think that's our cue, maybe. I'll just quickly finish. For me, as I was thinking about the inspiration and our modern times, I had this idea, and you know, when we put it out there, we might actually do it. What if, and what I struggle with is this theme that there's so much conflict, corruption, misdeeds in the world, yet, you know, I have my health issue, my life, my work, and we want to have a respect for others too. We have to have reverence for Ekam God, and we are all connected. So I thought of Guru Gobind Singh's Zafarnama, the brilliant letter of victory that he wrote to Emperor Aurangzeb, that he started with a statement of love and connection. He said, you know, and I'm just going to give my interpretation, you know, you killed my sons, my mother, my comrades, yet I love you, and we are one. However, you have had misdeeds and horrific crimes. And it was a calling out with this love and connection. And I said, how can I use that in my, let's say, advocacy work that I do? Maybe a petition for the tech companies, CEOs. So stay tuned for my Zafarnama to Mark Zuckerberg, maybe. We'll see. But maybe ask yourself, what is your call to action? You know, what is the next step? And I'll end with you, Harinder Singh, if you have any in your mind, or what you would suggest to this audience as they leave here today with this beautiful, beautiful project that you have put so much heart, soul, and all of SikhRI has put their blood, sweat, tears, and inspiration into.
And sponsors. I mean, we need everyone's support. That's how it happened. Somebody sponsored it. Otherwise, production was too costly for us, and we generally don't invest like that.
Absolutely.
I think in this question, because it's so specific, let me invoke somebody we haven't talked about, who's also in the book, Chandra Sen Senapath. He's the second court poet, other than Pai Nandalal Goa I mentioned. I only mentioned 2. The ones who saw the Guru, traveled with the Guru, lived with the Guru, and documented as court poets of the Guru. He invokes Zafarnama's context. And in that context, what many people may not know is, you know, Guru Gobind Singh carried the Quran, the religious text of the Muslims, of Aurangzeb, which he had signed on and said, I will not do this. So I did minor citation of that through that text, which is in Braj. Braj language is precursor to Hindi. That Guru Gobind Singh saying, you have broken your promises so many times. I have your Quran. You know, we know Bedawa, if those of you know Sikh history, he's also carrying that Quran with him, where Aurangzeb had signed that this is my agreement. He's like, you have broken it so many times. Now I cannot trust you. Ek baar ho gaya, do baar ho gaya. So what do you do in contemporary world when the promises are continuously broken, especially by a state or the heads of the state or the representatives? So, context hega now in this discovery, because I have my own calls to actions at personal levels and organizations I'm involved in, but when I was doing this, the last chapter and the last question I entertained in this book is what is the goal of the Sikhs? So Chandrasen Senapat book is Sri Gur Soba, and his last chapter is after Guru Gobind Singh leaves this earth. I had read that earlier, but not at this level. So मैंने लग गया एक call to action है एक collectively, and it's part of me also now. You know, and I directly translated. I think there are 5 stanzas, and the last line of each of those stanzas is, "We will re-establish Anandpur." Fair vasauna asi. What does that mean to re-establish Anandpur? If you are pained by what is happening in India, in Punjab, because we haven't been able to re-establish that in last 200 plus years. This is what Pai Nandlal Goya is saying. So how do you re-establish Anandpur in Vancouver? Just like we say, how do you re-establish Kartarpur in where you live? What is Anand is city of joy. Anandpur, joy will. And how do you create joy in the communities you live in the communities where we belong to 5 to 7 generations ago, we rose through Punjab. So my part of my call to action, more, I don't like this word, let's say strategically, is how do we re-establish Anandpur? And within there, and this is why it's so tough to re-establish. I must say this, because it's about the Guru at the end of the day, not about the individuals. You know, Guru Gobind Singh established Anandpur by giving up everything. We are used to doing everything for our family. That's the paradigm we operate in. All his intellect, all his, what we say, tan man tan, his strength, physical strength, tan, all his assets, monetary assets, and the whole family dies. Every single one. Sarvansadani, I don't think we have captured it yet. This is what it takes to re-establish things. So all of us definitely cannot do it, but can we have a glimpse of it? Can we play a role in it? What is that role I can play in my busyness and the noises of life? But we all have journey to Anandpur. And we must, if I may say, at least assess what is my journey to Anandpur. Guru Gobind Singh was a diaspora guru, the only one from diaspora. We are sitting in diaspora. He was born in Patna. It's not Punjab. In fact, it's a different civilization. It's Ganges Valley civilization. It was not part of Indus Valley civilization. We are sitting in different civilization. Guru Gobind Singh is born outside of Punjab. He left this earth outside of Punjab. It's something like us. And so what is our role to re-establish Anandpur? If I may think about that.
Thank you. Well, I think we have had a glimpse of that here in this beautiful setting with this discussion, and I'm going to pass it on, and we will hear from our Sangat in your questions.
Thank you for an incredibly deeply enriching discussion. We are going to open up the floor for a Q&A. We do have Anit for here as well with a mic. And so if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand and we will bring the mic to you. As the mic does come around to you, please just, as I said, just raise your hand. We'll bring the mic to you. We ask that you keep your questions concise so that we can get through as many questions as we can. We've got one question over there. As we get to the mic over there, I just wanted to give everyone a bit of my own personal experience with this book. So I had the privilege of having this book with me on a 3-hour flight. As I've told many of my friends that are in this room, I am not someone that publicly gets quite emotional, and yet for 3 hours I read this book and I cried. And why did I cry? I cried because it allowed me that connection to the Guru. Not just Guru Gobind Singh, but to Vaheguru, to the connection to the people. To me, I actually had someone on the flight approach me and go, "What are you reading?" Because this is quite the big book to be reading on an airplane. And I only had one thing to tell this person who asked me, and I said, "I'm reading a love letter." And that's really truly how I feel when I read this. I can't even put into words how beautifully this book is written, how beautifully it looks. I also had the privilege of watching Kiran actually draw during Civic over the last few years. The love that is poured into this is also the love that you feel as you read it, and the love that you feel as you're connecting to all the human beings around this world. So I can't thank the entire team enough for putting this out there. And I invite all of you to actually, when you sit down, this isn't just about reading, it's about experiencing that love. So this book is for you as well. Are we ready with our question? Yes.
Yes, I am. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you. I've enjoyed the sessions immensely. And while you're speaking, I was thinking about my own personal journey and about going inwards. So my question, I've written it down here, is Guru Nanak Dev Ji emphasized inner spirituality and egolessness beyond labels. Guru Gobind Singh Ji then gave us identity through the Khalsa. But there's a difference between reading Gurbani and embodying it. So when it's truly lived, where does identity fit in? How important is it, and how do we make sure it doesn't become ego or replace the inner state it was meant to represent?
Thank you for asking. Part of the challenge we are facing in the community is that we actually don't have living demonstrated examples enough of what really Khalsa is. Khalsa actually, this is why I mentioned the way you'll know it, because you don't have either inferiority complex or superiority complex. It's elimination. The polarity khatam kiti hai na, and I'm going to connect it to Guru Nanak the way you said it, right? Because Guru Nanak Sahib said, "So Nanak, uttam neech na koi." There is no superior or inferior, and Guru Gobind Singh demonstrated it. This is why even the very first bodily fought, that's the first question I have in that book after the Shabads. You know who fought alongside with him? 3 of his relatives, only 3. You know, halwai jada hunda na, like you can say a baker of that town, one head of the Udasis. Udasis are the renunciators. He came to Guru Gobind Singh, and Guru Gobind Singh was like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "The world will say, not a single one stayed. I'm with you." And 700 disciples of Pir Buddhu Shah, a Muslim guy. This is what Guru does. The identity is not about, it's really when you are in love, it really has nothing to do with who else is with you, what their color is, what their religion is. It is doing, as Spike Lee would say, do the right thing. Like today's parlance switch. So Ona, the way you know it is that you have no complex. This is not a Shakespearean question for us to be or not to be. It is just to be. There is no doubt. So I would say lived experience is what really eventually matters, as we all know that, not just the knowledge or the understanding. And that itself is evolutionary. And the Khalsa was that. The Khalsa identity is not that everyone needs to be Khalsa. Guru Gobind Singh didn't convince a single person to become Khalsa. Many were not. But the creative excitement was such that many joined.
Next question. While you're still thinking about the questions, I think my mic just turned
We used to say divine interventions. We'll call them technological interventions, since we have technologists and other people.
True.
Yes.
Is there a reason that you picked the 10 Shabbats that you did? I know this wasn't initially a story book project, but how did you narrow down, out of all the Shabbats, these specific 10 to use?
Yeah, I have it was very intentional, very political, and it's a 30-year project. I've been observing within the Sikh community how much of a uncivil behavior we have created regarding certain texts. And to me, the question was, how do I bring people towards some understanding? Those of you who are on Dasam Granth and anti-Dasam Granth stuff. So my work was, what do I pick which has zero, like none, no issues in line with Guru Granth Sahib? How it talks in the same vocabulary, in the same style, in the same continuity, even if people believe it is not Guru Gobind Singh's. So it had to do with that, and very much was Guru Gobind Singh is Gurbani. Guru Gobind Singh is Guru Granth Sahib. Guru Gobind Singh is the one who said this is the Guru afterwards. So this is to show the thought of the Guru. In these 10 Shabads, he's talking about how he views yoga, how he views death, how he views renunciation, how he views relationship with the divine, how he views many other things. And eventually, so I was after, as I said, the impetus was the thought of the Guru. And largely also, and this is my submission for your consideration, one of the reasons we don't understand Guru Gobind Singh is because the language is different. Remember I said he's part of the Ganges Valley civilization. Guru Nanak's advent was Indus Valley civilization. You can say Guru Nanak came in the confrontation of Hindus and Muslims.
Right.
Where Guru Gobind Singh came, Patna is where, hour and a half from there is where Buddha had his nirvana. About an hour away from there is Pavapuri. Bodh Gaya is Buddha's. Pavapuri is where Mahavir had his nirvana. Jainism and Buddhism. Half hour from there is the #1 education center that part of the world had seen, called Nalanda University. At the place of Guru Nanak, it's Takshla University. There are reasons for these. So Guru Gobind Singh's interaction is in that civilization. His vocabulary, his style, his poetics, creativities we were talking about. So, wo bhi intentionality sigi meri thodi ji. And also there is a whole politics going on right now about which language is better in every country. You're seeing what US is doing, what India is doing, one nation, one language nonsense going on. Guru Gobind Singh is embracing all. His court poet, ek Braj vich likh rahe hain, ek Farsi. So that's also intentional. We are not the people of polarities. We are the people of integration. Because oneness is not a vague spirituality. It's a lived experience. If you actually have the experience of the divine. So that was the intentionality behind it.
How do you reconcile the purity test, that happens within our community, within the religion? How do you balance that with? We know it's not the right thing, but how do you balance that, reconcile that day to day?
Reconcile with?
Day to day.
Okay. I'll take that a little bit more in spirit. If I understood you right, I have lots of issues with the word purity. That's what creates genocides. Because somebody feels they're more pure.
Yeah.
And somebody is less, right? Purification is something very different. And Gurbani is all about that. How do you internally purify? Which means eliminating your own filth. Nirmal. Mal is mal. Mal is filth. That's an internal purification process. So one of the issues which I've had to deal with a lot, and Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj, if I can bring into this, his Shabads actually talked about it. 2 of the Shabads actually talk about that. The reconciliation is needed when there is a polarity, there is a doubt, or there is 2 options. This is why the Roman numeral 1, there is only one option. So if you believe you are pure, what is implied is somebody is impure. Whereas the Guru's thought is everyone is of one's lineage. Elimination of the self-filth is the work. And Khalsa does not just mean pure. Let me bring that up because it's Vaisakhi time. Your national minister put out his own thing on Sikh Heritage Month. BC's Attorney General, I think, also put out their statement. I know it's customary. Khalsa does not just mean pure. Khalsa, Khalis means pure. Khalise, because it's a Farsi word, with the choti hai at the end, those of you know a little bit of Farsi, that means something which belongs directly to the sovereign. So Guru Gobind Singh calls it the Khalsa, which is the one who belongs directly to the sovereign, the one. No intermediaries. I have a personal, intimate relationship, love affair with the divine. Guru Gobind Singh himself added, people who became Khalsa were those kinds. So there is no pure, impure. We believe everyone is pure. Impurity is within us. And if Khalsa adopted lifestyle people are thinking they are more pure, I would ask, please reconsider your position. Because the Muslims were called Malech as a stereotype, the dirty ones. And you know what Khalsa did? They adopted that word. They said, no, we are Malech Khalsa. We are the dirty pure. This is how we disrupted everything when there is a division going on. So we have to be very, very careful with these words. Our tradition maintains them very well. Some of our lived experiences in the absence of that have made us one of the, pure ones. We are not the pure ones. We are the ones who are purifying and then lovingly working towards only answering to the one.
I have a question. To what extent do you agree that we as Sikhs have stopped preparing ourselves for war, physically and mentally? And this could be one of many reasons that we as a Panth are getting weaker as time passes. And it also could be the reason that we are not able to establish an answer from the past 200 years.
Thank you. Very pertinent. I'm going to work with the spirit of your question, and I'll ask you to reconsider 1 or 2 phrases. We are not just warrior tradition. That's a stereotype on us.
I'm aware of that. Yep.
Right. So we are a tradition which believes that we are neither superior or inferior, but we have something unique to offer. We call it today, we offered a unique paradigm, a unique culture, a unique people who changed the destiny of South Asia. Because Guru Gobind Singh, the stereotype, he was a great warrior. Guru Gobind Singh is great, many. I don't even know how to fill in those blanks. So now to the exact question, I don't think you need my opinion. You just said it. The data is in front of us.
Yes.
Absolutely. We are legally manipulated for last 110 years, since 1921 Act, but it started earlier than that. All are takhts, all. Takht is a seat of political authority. Anandpur was one of them. It's 100% manipulated, every single takht. So, but what does it take to free? We have been there before. Harinder Sahib was, remember, Guru Tegh Bahadur Padsha, his father and Guru, was told not to enter there. So when do the hijackings happen? When do the manipulation by the leadership happens? We are seeing it globally even today. What Guru Gobind Singh trained us was what? I'm coming back to it. Your love affair with the one. And the ones who are love-born, they don't operate in consequences. You cannot enslave them. So I would say people like me are at best aspirational. Honest answer है दसवें पातशाह दी जे गल कर रहे हैं ना किताब दे through. Panth Word is a Sikh collective. And if I may say, because that was one of the questions, we don't take this word seriously. Guru Gobind Singh actually gave Guruship. I answered that in there with historical citation to the Khalsa in 1699, not to Guru Granth Sahib. 1699, the Panth was made the Guru. The sovereign free people. Not the ones who just claim it in slogans. The way they will live it, the love, the experiences, inner purifications, and fighting for everyone's sovereignty, including your own. Guru Granth Sahib, after 8 years of guidance, 2 days before he left this earth, because you don't know who to consult. Which thought matters more, if I may say? What is your constitution? Earlier, people would just go to the Guru, right? What's the answer? He says, well, you can have all the thoughts in the world, consult everything. Like in Canada, you have charter. But the Khalsa will only develop answers eventually as a final litmus test from Guru Granth Sahib. So when we don't have that anymore, our answers are now coming from the relevant political theory of the world, whichever one you subscribe to.
And AI.
AI is bastardizing it, sorry to use that word. Currently, eventually it may do better. So we have been there since 1839, if you ask me. There have been attempts, but I'm going to go back to it. From Guru Nanak through Guru Gobind Singh, the beauty is this. And I don't know if anyone saw that, the book, that's why, is not written as a linear history also. Because we are so used to 1469, 1699, 1708, like the linear. Sikh history has never been like this. We are people who are principle driven. So yes, we need to put it context, when it happened. So guess what? You can do it today. We don't carry the burden of what didn't happen. We carry that if I am love-born, very few people who are love-born have always done this. Right now, the good news is we have 30 million people. That's the caravan we have. But for that caravan, everyone can't be the Khalsa as Guru Gobind Singh, not just chiseled from Guru Nanak onward, but also enthroned. This is the word, enthroned. And people, so if you ask me, and I'm going to just leave it here, I've been using this number, and I'm going outside of the book now to answer a question. 30 million people, you take 0.00001%. Some of you who are finance and math people, how many people is that?
300, 3,000?
It's 3,000. So we'll work with 300. What this means is, and by the way, that's the Sikh history after Guru Gobind Singh. You look between 1699 to 1839, the next. There's very few. But everyone knew what they say is what they did. They took on the empires, they took on the corrupt religious, the corrupt political, because they themselves were so secure, so loving, because they were Shabad born, love born. So that's the number. We need enough of those, I call it foot soldiers in Guru Nanak's revolution, which Guru Gobind Singh eventually enthroned.
We have time for one more question.
In the back, in the far.
What advice from the Guru can you provide us when we're all kind of stand up for the things that are happening, and sometimes we feel overwhelmed, like we can't handle all of this. So what is it that you can advise us to do based on the Guru's words?
Thank you. Let's bring it back to one of the Shabads, which was the core of the book. And he has used this phrase twice with just a change of one word, so that's how I'm picking it. It's since you happen to ask. You know, I likha naam vibhut chadao. Yogic tradition, vibhuti is they take ash and they use ashes to put on the head or other places. He's like, chadhana literally is to ascend it within you. And no state is stopping you from doing this. I don't think your spouse or partner or your work will stop you from doing this. This is why you can all do it. We can all do it. He's like, ascend the naam within you. It is within you, but odi ascendance nahi ho rahi, odi rising nahi ho rahi. And this is why in love, I use this phrase a lot, that you rise in love, you don't fall in love. And the Sikh way of doing this is you got to ascend the naam within you. Figure out what that means, decode that for yourself. How do I identify with the one within me? That's the work. That's what Guru Gobind Singh cited twice in these 10 Shabads.
I think there was one more question at the bottom here.
Okay.
Last one.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm going to muddle through this. I don't have the wording exactly, but in the context or in relation to the conversation around becoming Khalsa sovereign, and the Guru Sahib gave us the terms Singh and Kaur in that picture, how do we reconcile, and if our call to action is this challenge we see with the daily lived reality that most of our gurdwaras and most of our religious spaces are dominated, male dominated more than women, and we have fought so hard to see women in those spaces, and it doesn't happen, especially in some of the most revered places in Sikhi or in the Sikh world. Thank you.
Gurmeet Kaur, you said?
Yes, yeah.
You know, I'm very aware of it. I have been actively working to change that from the lowest Gurdwara where I became a secretary at age 19 in Kansas City to Sarbat Khalsas and Golden Temples and Sikh organizations. Honest answer is because we actually don't understand Sikh value system. We have adopted largely androcentric, male-centric, masculine identities. So in the absences of what do you do? Let's go to Guru Gobind Singh. He's also seeing this, but we invoke Mai Pago in that capacity sometimes, and I'm going to invoke a little bit differently. Challenge is always there because it's establishment versus unestablished, people who are disenfranchised versus who are not. So you take this, you invoked it, that's why I went to you. You're embracing your identity through the Guru, not through the custodians of the Gurdwara or the organization. So the first part is, Mai Pago is what we don't tell about her after the Khidrana, when the 40 men she brought back on track, is she traveled with the Guru. She's an equal partner in the Guru's presence, in the Guru's army. She traveled with him all the way to Hazur Sahib. In my early days, when I started visiting places of the Gurus, I used to go see for these reasons before I came and write and talk about these things. Because otherwise it's all male-centric. I couldn't pick up a gun and I think I'm a man and I own a Glock, So this nonsense about capabilities and capacities is actually nonsense, is what I'm trying to say. She lived in a fortress outside Hazur Sahib if you ever get a chance to go visit. So the Guru does not entertain that. But Guru Sikhs, the farther they are from Sikhi, go back to what we were saying, mal or filth. So that's first part, why it is happening, but the Guru doesn't allow that. Now, more practically, Guntas, this is where the mandate is in each home and each organization. You gotta be that vibe checker. When I became a dad, I need to be very sure that my micro bias doesn't show up in my daughter. How I treat her versus my son. If she wants to come home at 2 a.m., If Jodha Singh is allowed, Gani Kaur will be allowed, and she is. It also needs to show up in if you are sitting in a deciding member or influential member in the organization. Baljinder Panji is sitting there. I want to make sure that SikhRI will at least make sure there are enough women rising in their leadership, including board chairs and CEO. The editor in Ikor was a CEO for a while. It has to be mandated. I go back to that because don't declare. Declaration happened roughly around 1479, Guru Nanak period, 10 years after it, in Asa Ki War. Please don't repeat that in interfaith meetings, that women are equal. The demonstrated reality is they're not. That's the pain point of Guntas. And the way that changes is by mandate. By the time Guru Amar Das came, and I'm going to leave it there, and you saw how Guru Gobind Singh, that's why, gave a new identity. I'm going to end with that. By the time Guru Amar Das came, he's the oldest Guru. People who have old habits, and we say old habits die hard. Punjabi ਵਿੱਚ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵਾਰਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਆਤਾਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੱਟੀਆਂ ਪੋਰੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ. So it's hard to change the habits. But here is how the Guru destroys stereotypes and mandates. Guru Amar Das is the oldest Guru in age. He sets up the first administrative units. This is like Khalsa happened, didn't just happen, it was being developed. Guru Amar Das developed administrative units because the Mughal estate had 22 units. He established 22 units too. At least three, some sources say 4, heads of those units were women. And this will be shocking if you don't know this. The head of Kabul was a woman. You see what Taliban is doing today. How Anarkali Kaur, who was a minister before Taliban, is still in exile in one of the European countries. I can't reveal because I work with her. This is the reality where Guru Amar Das mandated women as an emissary, his ambassador. That you want to deal with me, you got to deal with her. ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ mandate ਅੱਜਕੱਲ. By the time Guru Gobind Singh came, this is why Singh and Kaur identity is one way to look at it. Women was a property. Some people still treat her as that, both in East and West. You should see how the nobles and aristocrats deal with things in Europe as well. And Kaur basically was, dekho ki hunda si, before marriage you were property of a father, after marriage you were property of a husband. This is the reality, was the reality. Some places still is. That's Kaur. You're always independent of both. You are of the one's lineage too. And by the way, it comes from, etymologically, it comes from Kuvar. Kuvar was that prince. This is why we say it means princess, but this is the reason. Kuvar was not just any prince or princess. Kuvar was the one next in line to rule. There are different levels of princes. So this is what the title means. You are next in line to rule. He not only empowered it, he mandated it, and usto baad see. So embrace the identity, fight the power, as Public Enemy would say. I got to bring in Chuck D in here. But before that, then you also have to say, fight for your right to fight. It's a continuous work. It happens in every space. And if our spaces are hijacked, Guru Gobind Singh the time te bhi darbar sab hijacked si. You always have two options, give up, and if they are not reforming, then set up a parallel institution. So choose your path, either reform or set up a parallel institution. When you are victorious, they will come join you.
And as a core, I would just add to that, and to end on an optimistic, positive note of Jaddi Kala, I feel what I want to offer when we look at the delay or the barriers to the ultimate manifestation of Anandapur, where we want to go, we have to also, and I would say, focus on what we are doing. The many advances. Guru Gobind Singh was radical feminist, revolutionary in the sovereignty. And so, yes, we have work to do. That will never end. But I always say focus goes. Your neurons go where your focus goes. So keeping your attention on what's going well, if you're struggling with some of the hypocrisy or issues, because the Gurus gave us everything we need. Now it's our choice what we're going to focus on, what we're going to meditate on, and that will decide if we have the power for action or not. So that's
Thank
my
you
final
for saying
say.
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because the word meditate came, it's also in the first Shabad where I said dhyan. Dhyana is a very Indic parampara. ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਇਹੀ ਧਿਆਨ ਦਿਵਾਇਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਿਠਾ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਬੈਠੋ ਤੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਵਜੇ ਬੈਠੋ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰੋ। ਸਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ, ਸਾਡਾ ਫੋਕਸ, ਸਾਡੀ concentration needs to be on wherever your purpose in life is. Absolutely. Thank you for that reminder and bringing it back to where our neurons need to be going.
And with that, I would like to draw our Q&A to a close. Thank you for your thoughtful questions and for the spirit of reflection that you brought into the room today. Please join me in thanking Harinder Singh and Dr. Shimi Kaur for sharing their time, their insights, and the presence that they've left with us in this room this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we come to a close, I just wanted to let everyone know that the Sikh Research Institute will be hosting another event on April 24th. As part of Sikh Heritage, Surinder Singh and myself will be presenting a workshop on Daya. The registration for that workshop will be coming to all of you through an email as a follow-up to this event as well. So please register. We would love to see you all there. Today's gathering would not have been possible without the generosity of Sangit Kaur and Dr. Harinder Singh, who have sponsored this event and helped us bring this conversation to Vancouver. To share a few closing reflections, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Harinder Singh to the stage.
Thank you. Vaheguru Khalsa, Vaheguru Fateh. I wanted to, first of all, thank everybody for taking the time out, such a beautiful, rare, sunny day in Vancouver, to be here with us today. You know, your presence means the world to Manu and I, and we can't thank you enough for being here. With regards to the book that Shimi and Harinder have done such a wonderful job of giving us a glimpse of, you know, I encountered the book on my way home from my flight. We were in San Jose for San Diego for a SikhRI gathering. And on my flight back, I could not put the book down. I was so moved by the intense beauty and time and dedication that has been put into this work, that I felt like, you know, this is something that needs to be encountered in Vancouver, you know, where we live and we work. I think that our gathering here today, and I very much appreciate everybody who, unfortunately, we didn't have seats for today, who has stood and reflected on this conversation, how important it is. You know, I remember being in San Diego, and Harinder explained to us that, you know, it's not Shabad Hazare, as in thousands, it's Hajar, which is separation. And I think ultimately each one of us feels some degree of separation from Ikunkar, from our belonging. And conversations like this, I think, can illuminate a path and bring people into hopefully some knowledge that will transpire to something beautiful for our lives as Sikhs. I am deeply grateful to Harinder Singh for his care, his scholarship, his devotion in bringing this work to life, and to Shimi Kaur, who sadly couldn't be here with us today, but she was the editor, and this was their joint vision to bring this work to life. I want to thank Dr. Shimi Kang as well. When I was telling Harinder the story, when Ini kind of cornered me and said, hey, we should put something together for Vancouver, I immediately thought of Shimi, and yes, it was a birthday gift, but I also had a motive to motivate you. And she did not say no once. She put a tremendous amount of time and effort into her presentation and to the questions, and I'm deeply grateful for that time and work. I want to acknowledge the work of the SikhRI Institute. Easy for us to say we picked a venue, but bringing this to life was the work of Simran, who's in the back, Anu who's here, and for our volunteers in SikhRI who work tirelessly, often without certainly there's no monetary gratification, but even a thank you, I think escapes us many times. But they work tirelessly to put this together, and I want to express our gratitude towards that. SikhRI's been around for 2 decades now, and they have created spaces for learning, reflection, and a deeper engagement for Sikhi across the world. I'm hoping that by illuminating this work, we can hopefully motivate particularly our youth and members of our community to help us in this work to seek understanding, reflection, and connection with the wisdom of our Guru Sahibs. If today's conversation has sparked your curiosity or reflection, I would encourage you to please support the work. You can buy the book. There's a QR code at the back of the room. We have limited copies, but we can certainly deliver copies to anybody beyond that as well. And again, thank you. And I wanted to.
I would just like to say, please stay for tea and conversation and take a moment to connect with one another. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, Life, Vision, and Wisdom, is a landmark work blending literary craft, historical insight, visual storytelling, and spiritual depth centered on the 10 luminous compositions of Sabad Hazare that reveal the Guru's timeless vision. Purchase the book at sikhri.org/products today.
You were listening to SikhCast by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.